Hello again. Welcome back to the Money Corner. My three guests are experts in financial planning. We've been talking about financial planning for the past two segments of the Money Corner. Dennis La Padula is a certified public accountant from Norwood, New Jersey. His wife, Lois La Padula, is a counselor and a certified financial planner from Norwood, New Jersey. And Fred Kerpen is president of a brokerage firm. Fred has been a financial planner in New York City and Manhattan for 30 years. Fred is a lecturer at NYU and Baruch School of Business, which is located at City College in New York. Welcome back to the Money Corner, all of you. And we conclude our series on financial planning this week. And I would like to get into the specifics. For the past 2 weeks, you have described the process. Financial planning is like a roadmap. Financial planning is the integration of all the asset selection process. But now let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Lois, when we were talking prior to coming on the air, coming before the cameras, you mentioned to me that you would do a cash flow analysis. What do you mean? Why would you do a cash flow analysis?
Okay. Simple example. A couple comes in and wants to know whether they can afford to buy a larger house. Husband makes $30,000 a year. The wife makes $32,000 a year. They never really looked at how they've spent their money. They just know that every cent they've brought into the house is gone. They need some help in looking at where that money goes. And one of the things that we do is we ask them to bring in all of their canceled checks for the last 12 months, all of their credit card receipts for the last 12 months, because the fact that they gave Visa $5,000 doesn't tell us anything. What was the $5,000 for? And then we break down into each of the categories exactly how much they've spent. And then they can look and see, is this the way they want to spend their money? If it is fun, we can't be judgmental. We don't want to be judgmental. But they get a good idea of where their money is going and then can make plans as to whether they want to continue that way or change their lifestyle.
Fred, I'm interested, and I've been a stockbroker for 20 years now, so I have some insight in terms of the way people think. I'm always amazed at how blocked people are when it comes to money, making decisions, doing the simple analysis that to us I know sounds very elementary.
Well, there are three motivating factors, three emotions. One of them is fear,
one of them is greed,
and the third one is hope.
I was holding my breath. I was afraid of what you were going to say.
We all know that we are being in the business. And it's the merit of the financial planner very often to bring things down to a reasonable level and telling people, here you have too much greed, here you're too much afraid. Like the man, I have a client that has over $1 million, everything in municipal bonds. I said, well, but there is no protection against inflation. You should have some equities too. Couldn't convince him. That may be my poor salesmanship, but he's wrong by having everything in one area of investments. When it comes to flexible dollars, of course, there's a great choice. There's real estate, there's stamps, coins, antiques, and there's, of course, the greatest of all of them, more than all the others together, and that is participation in the American economy. And this, again, is a question of philosophy. My own is, even though I'm close to $1 million, I don't own a single stock in my own name. I have all my money managed. I have a managed portfolio, and I have mutual funds distributed in my corporation, my pension plan, my profit sharing plan, individually, my work, KIO, IRA, and so on, but always managed by professionals. I believe in professionals.
Now, Dennis, you and Lois work together in terms of the planning process, and you have a 13-page worksheet here, confidential, you call it planning, personal financial planning information. In here, you ask for things like a liability inventory, breakdown of all the debts. Is
all
that correct?
debts, charge payments, any money that anyone owes.
Do you ever hit the situation where people are in trouble with their debt? They're over their head in debt, and they're in effect all screwed up on their money management or handling their money. Now, is this something a financial planner will look at? That's
Absolutely.
a little different than
Absolutely. If a client comes into us and is concerned, as Lois indicated before, a very common situation is, gee, we're earning what we think is a fair amount of money and we don't know where it's going. We have nothing to show for it. We have to really literally tear apart where the money is being spent. What are the assets now, the liabilities now? What payments are being made on these liabilities that is chewing up cash? And is there potential to restructure things to make life a little bit easier? In some cases, we have thoroughly advised clients, take your charge accounts and throw them away, unless you can get to a point where you can be honest enough with yourself to monitor the way you're spending your money. Because another important part of the financial planning process is implementing a plan. A plan laid out on paper does no good unless the changes are made. We hang in there with the client to make sure that they understand and then make the appropriate changes.
And that moral support is very, very important.
Do you call that moral support?
Moral support, yes. I also call it hand-holding, which I very often do. I had a conversation with a client of mine earlier today, and I had to hold hands, but that's part of the game.
Well, then the hand-holding implies that the relationship between the planner and the client is an ongoing relationship. This is really a long-term relationship.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be very long-term if there's a specific goal to be reached, and even if it's a new budget as far as cash flow, and then we've set down a budget for them. Maybe for 6 months they'll be checking back and forth, and some become really dependent and pick up the phone and call before they buy a new coat. We don't want that. We want to wean away from that. You can't make people totally dependent on you every time they blow their nose, because then they're not learning anything. Financial planning has to be a learning process for the clients as well. Certainly major decisions should be an ongoing process.
And of course you have to distinguish the different individuals. You can set somebody up on a long-range plan and you can be pretty sure that he keeps it. And there are others that run out of it, run away, don't keep it. And there you have to contact again, and you try to again hold hands or encourage them to go on with a plan that they have approved themselves and that they think
I know that all of you would like to see more people involved with planners, with financial planners.
Yes.
Because I'm sure it's your contention that they would have a better, more orderly life. On the other hand, is there a way that people can reach a kind of maturity and a kind of independence without being involved with planners? Can't we teach this in school?
Yes.
We teach an adult education course in Pascack Hills High School, and in that 4-hour mini course we go through the various steps of financial planning. People come to learn what is financial planning. 90% of the things that we tell the people they can do themselves if they want to take the time and read books and question each of the professionals. Okay, my insurance agent, I want you to explain my insurance policy to me, line by line. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort, but anybody that really wants to delve in and learn how to do it, they can.
And Fred, you've been involved in these all-day seminars at NYU and the Baruch School.
Yeah.
Attempting the same kind of emancipation.
Yeah, it's a little different. I've taught adults, and I've also taught college students out in Southampton College. I've given a course a couple of times. There's a slight difference. What is really the outstanding finding is the almost total ignorance of people.
About finances.
About finances. They don't know the time value of money.
Yeah.
They
We're
don't
almost
know
at the end of the segment. Dennis, quickly.
There's another important consideration, and that is people learning what their emotions are.
Okay, on that note, we are going to wind up. We hope now you know what your emotions are. I hope that you've enjoyed this lecture presentation we've had on financial planning. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
I'll be back here on the Money Corner again next week. We'll have an author who has written a prize-winning book on the stock market. Tune in. Be with me then. Good night. Have a good week.